Hits by the pound.
Yeah, this is how we do it in the Central Coast, man. We got 40 ounces, Old English, rag tops, 6'4" Impalas, and bikini girls, man. This is how we do it on the West Coast. San Diego, San Francisco, Los Angeles. But don't forget about the Central Cali, man. Please don't forget about the Central Cali. Yeah, get 'em.
It's another sunny day in the state of California. Low rider palm trees and G's that put it on ya. This ain't a negative, we speaking ebonics. Rank talk, candy paint on D's with hydraulics. Baseball hat with the sticker on the brim. Don't let the sun blind your sight, cause things can get grim. But I'm not here to talk about banana clips and guns. We're going back to Cali and we're gonna have some fun. A West Coast domination.
And welcome back to Two-Face Entertainment Podcast. I am your host, Fred Segura. Guys, it's a crisp, cold night as we go into October. You start to feel, I know we're in fall, you're starting to feel that winter breeze, if you will. You know, we starting to turn off our fans at night. It's starting to get a little cold. You know, it's warm, but then at night it gets like cold. But anyhow, I mean, that's a good thing, and I love it. Guys, I'm a big old polar bear about stuff. I love cold weather. There's people who like hot weather. It is what it is. To each their own, you know. Before I get started, guys, I want to kind of give a disclaimer a little bit. My father, God rest his soul, he was a very, I want to say, straightforward man. He took care of his stuff. I mean, as far as like bills and responsibility, if you will. Which we'll go on later into the rest of it tonight. But sorry guys, there's a car coming. You guys know the routine. Anyhow, he was very responsible for stuff. And one time we were in Salinas and we had gone grocery shopping in Salinas, California. And he had just got a new car. And I mean, if I remember correctly, if my memory serves me right, I mean, he must have gotten the car maybe a few weeks before this incident. And we were leaving the store. And as he started to back out, he hit another car. He hit a parked car. Now, mind you, he did no damage to the car. He just a bumper, just kind of hit the bumper a little bit and nothing happened. And I remember he said, "Oh, man," he goes, I hit that other car. And my mom said, "Well, you didn't really do any damage. I mean, it's not, why even, stick around?" But this wasn't really the kind of person he was. He would have gotten off and, made sure everything, But to my surprise, which is probably the only time in my life, he took off. But again, there was it wasn't like he hit the fender or nothing like that. Excuse me. I had to drink my tea. Anyhow, I believe maybe I was in like 3rd, 4th grade, if that. So I remember I went to school. True story, guys. I remember I went to school on Monday, and they asked the class to share what happened over the weekend. This one kid gets up and he says, yesterday, my mom and dad and I, we went to the store and we went to go buy some groceries, and this car backed up and hit my dad's car. And, and I remember like, oh, I knew he was talking about my dad, but I didn't say anything. I stayed quiet, I stayed like, whoa, okay, so I didn't say anything at that point, and I just left it at that. But when I got home, I told my mother, I said, hey, you know what? This kid said that, I explained to her, what had happened, which I thought was funny. My mother, God rest her soul, she said, you know what? Don't you even say a word about anything, about that and whatever. And you know what, folks? Nothing ever. I didn't say anything, which leads us into what the topic of today is. I mean, and it's not about I look. I'm a firm believer in there's a huge margin in what a lot of people believe today, and oh, you don't snitch and da da da. Okay, I get it to an extent, but there's a large margin between snitching and doing the right thing. Unfortunately, my dad didn't do the right thing, but I still didn't snitch him out. But anyhow, I mean, it is what it is. That's contradicting, but bear with me on that. Um, and back in the day when I went to school, and I've learned now as a grown man, a lot of kids went through the same thing. I used to wear my house key around my neck, tucked into my shirt. Nobody could see it. And it wasn't a chain, guys. It wasn't like no bling or nothing like that, or it was like a butcher string, kind of just, it was around my neck. And, parents used to say, hey, listen, when you come home from school, you come in the house, you don't say, excuse me, guys, there's a car coming. You don't, okay. You don't tell anybody anything. Don't tell them you're home by yourself. Don't answer the phone. All of the above, all these rules, and sometimes there was a handwritten note or whatnot, about what to do and what not to do. And you know what, guys? We did that. We remained quiet about our stuff. Maybe if anything, we had one close, trusting friend that parents would say, yeah, okay, that's fine. But no more than that, And we lived that way. Without ever, saying, hey, look, I got the house key, and trying to show off, trying to, It was never to that extent at all. We stayed quiet. Well, we did what we were told, or else. I mean, really, it got, to that extent. And oftentimes, at least for myself, I spent a lot of time alone. My parents always worked. And I know as well as other parents did the same thing. And they weren't really home a lot. When I look back now, they weren't home a lot. They worked hard, very hard. And we're talking labor jobs. And it was just, looking back now, I mean, I understand how tired they came home, And my mother, God rest her soul, she would come home and still make dinner. And not a day went by that we missed dinner. My father always took a lunch, a homemade lunch, to work. Whether it was sandwiches, burritos, or whatever it was, But he always took a lunch. That's, that's, when I look back now, I'm like, dang, and great providers, but never home. There was no quality time with us ever that I can recall. Our quality time consisted of going to eat somewhere, on a Sunday, and go grocery shopping, and maybe go to the mall, go to Kmart or something, I mean. But as far as you take a friend, or you go with your family and stuff, but that you can say, oh, this is a quality time with family. Very seldom. Yeah, there was times where, like, looking back, but it was very minimal. We went to the movies and stuff like that, and we, what I mean? But it was very, very minimal. It wasn't like a constant thing. I don't, my mother, I remember her telling me that she loved me and it was like overflowing. She would say that it was like she goes, my love, excuse me, my love for you is like a mug that's overflowing with whatever's inside of it. That's how much I like, and I would just be like, oh, okay, I didn't understand it at the time, I just kind of, whatever. My father, on the other hand, he never expressed his any kind of really emotion, to be honest with you, about that. I mean, he never really said anything, and you know what? Back then, as kids, if whatever we had, we didn't worry about income and about, the materialistic things. It was just kind of like play outside and live life, man. It wasn't like we worried about, oh, well, I have this and I have that. I mean, yeah, if somebody, excuse me, got a toy or something like that, but I mean, it wasn't to that extent. It wasn't like there was no real bragging about it. It was just kind of, oh man, that's cool. I hope. Excuse me, guys. Here comes the car. Alrighty, and okay, slow down, Vin Diesel. Anyhow, it it wasn't to that extent, that we pushed it into somebody like, hey, look, I have this and I'm better. And yeah, of course, being kids, that's natural. That happens every now and then, but it was very seldom and very rare, back before, I think a lot of it today, it affects a lot of children. And again, like I've said before in other podcasts that I've done here, I blame it on social media. I blame it on social media. I blame it sometimes. I mean, even we, the parents, sometimes have a lot to do with it. I mean, we tend to believe sometimes that, oh, well, if so-and-so talks to him, it's like, no, man, you got to take that bull by the horns, and you got to, like back in the day, we knew who was boss. There was no question whatsoever. Those of us that grew up with both, that were fortunate, that grew up with both parents, or with your grandmother, or whatever it was, as a kid, you knew who was boss. It wasn't like, oh, you can get away with it. Excuse me, you can get away with it. I mean, we lived in a time where you can get smacked in the store. I remember being one time, I was in the store, and this kid must have been no more than maybe 2.5, 3 years old, and he told his mother a bad word. And I remember the mom just slapping him right across the face. And I thought nothing of it. People before didn't think nothing of that. It was like, that's your business. I mean, it wasn't like she knocked his head off, you know what I mean? But it was a slap to the face. And I mean, you see that now, and people will go berserk, people will call the cops, people, that's the kind of stuff that happens, And a lot of it has to do with social media and the expectation of things, the entitlement of things. They believe like, hey, I deserve to have this, and believe that when they go into social media, whatever platform it is, they're simply seeing the highlights of anything. You know what I mean? They're not seeing the real struggle. So these kids today do not see the real struggle of what it is. They think everything should be, pretty much cut out and served on a silver platter, that life isn't tough. That it's tough because you're broke. It's tough because you didn't work hard enough. That's not the case, in a lot of situations. It may be in some. There's people that just kind of throw their hands up, and give up. Um, but you know, uh, people today do not believe in earning. You know, everybody wants the the big money with less work. You know, I'm entitled to get this much because I know my job. Before back in the day, you excuse me. Oh man, I'm got a dry throat tonight. You had to earn that. You really, really had to earn that. Whatever you made, you worked your tail off for that. You earned it. And today, and again, due to social media, due to reality TV, and even though it's reality TV, a lot of it's fluff, a lot of it's edited, a lot of it's, I tend to believe a lot of it's written just to make the show and show a glimpse, but it always has a semi good ending for whatever reason, and I think it tends to distort a lot of young minds, to be honest with you. I mean, that's how I tend to look at it. And yeah, man, I mean, nobody wants to work for anything. Everybody feels entitled. Oh, I deserve, because I, did this or did that or went here, went there, whatever the situation is, they feel entitled to it. That they deserve, certain things. Today, even contact with somebody is much easier. Text messages, phone calls, emails, and even messenger from whatever platform you on social media. And I've seen memes like this on social media as well. It's not like before the old one of the memes kind of, and I'm paraphrasing. The old text messages were a piece of paper said, "Hey, clean the house, the food's in the refrigerator," or whatever it was. That was our communication. I'll be back at 6, whatever time it was. So you knew. Oh, I had to go here really fast or whatever. I'll be back at this time. There wasn't a thing where you can call. There was no cell phone. You can call. Back then, if you weren't home, you weren't home. Now it's very, very different. And everything is handed to you. Everything is right in the palm of your hand. Everything's given, and really, man, I think it's just destroying us. It's destroying the next generation, where they have zero respect for anybody, whether adults, elders, law enforcement, whatever. There's a lack of respect, a big lack of respect for that nowadays. And because, guys, without getting into detail, I've seen it firsthand. I'm seeing it firsthand. It's pretty sad. And I think for a lot, I hope I'm speaking for a lot of people. Like, going back to everything, like myself and the people of my generation and so on and so forth. we spent a lot of time while parents were at work. You know, we spent a lot of time by ourselves, with our friends, with our siblings, or with the grandparents, with the aunts, or with babysitter, whatever it was, or by ourselves while parents worked. Today, that's not the case. Today, we tend to spend a lot more time at home. Granted, guys, I'm not getting into the whole, mom or dad that ain't there, or child's being raised by a grandparent, whatever. I'm not getting into all that. I'm saying today, in today's world, parents spend a lot more time at home. Not all of them, but the majority. And yet, some of these kids will hold that against you, because they say to you, well, you didn't spend enough time with me when I was younger, and you didn't do this for me, and you didn't do that for me. And I mean, even myself, I tell my kids all the time, I said, look, if I was in a room with 1,000 other men, okay, you can point me out, right, and say, that's my dad right there. And I say, consider yourselves lucky. But a lot of these kids do not grasp that, and cannot wrap that around their head of how lucky they actually are. I always, at least once a day, tell my kids I love them. I give them a hug. Of course, my son's a lot older. Sometimes they, hey, get away, hey, but hey, I love you. Be safe. Take care. Whatever it is. If I get it, I mean, come on, guys. I'm only human. I'm just like everybody else. Hey, we have arguments. We're not the perfect family, the perfect social media, but no, this is a reality. We have arguments. We have ugly arguments sometimes. And we could be really upset and at each other's throats. I'll get up in the morning. I'll take a shower, get ready for work. And I'll go into the room. And I'll wake them up sometimes, Of course, my son's already, he's working and stuff. But those the kids, that aren't working, or my wife, if we argue, I'll still go and wake them up and say, hey, I'm leaving. And they can say, they can still be upset. But me, I'll say something like, hey, look, I just want to tell you that I love you. Because we just don't know what can happen throughout the day. We don't know if that's the last conversation you're going to have with that person. And again, I mean, I've make it a point for that to be, instilled and said. I mean it when I say it. I don't want to end up passing something, even though it's inevitable. We are all going to go. But at least our loved ones know that we love them. And we mean it when we say it. It's a new day, a new slate. And mind you, I could still be upset. But I'm willing to let it go, because I don't know if I'll see them, or they'll see me again, or they will see me again in the afternoon when I get back, or if whichever, So I think it's really important to make that peace, you know. Uh, but but a lot of these kids today feel they're entitled. Oh, you should have did this and you should have did that. It's like, look, I don't know how else to show you because I didn't buy you this or because I didn't go do this with you. You're going to hold that against me for the rest of your life? Are there things I wish I could have changed? Yeah, naturally. But it is what it is, and I'm still here. And again, we go back to the same thing. You can pick me out of a crowd. You know? There's a lot of children that can't do that. But try to tell that to somebody that's always had their parents there. Or whichever loved ones. Try to tell them that. And they won't understand it. Or trying to even understand it. And they're going to throw it in your face feeling like, oh, you could have did more. Yet, compared to how we grew up, we are doing more. We're not just buying you dinner on a Sunday night at McDonald's or whatever restaurant, after we do grocery shop, before we go grocery shop, whatever way it goes. Or buying you stuff here and there. We're physically home. And spending time, going places. I don't care if it's just the movies. I don't care if it's, excuse me, just for a ride. Just to drive somewhere. Sit down and watch something on television or whatever rocks your boat. We are trying to make that happen. But yet, sometimes it's not enough. Or they think it's not enough. But yet, we are, those of us that grew up in a different time, and here comes the car, guys, sorry. That grew up in a different time, we're giving you tenfold compared to what we got. We didn't get the I love yous. Or, hey, this and that. It was just, hey, I'm going to work. Or not even that. It just when the work came home, and it was like, whatever. Of course, we try to better ourselves at a better job, more secure job, and not so physical, But the kids today don't understand that. They don't get it. I mean, not to date myself here, but even in the 80s, a lot of quality time was, we look forward to seeing the music video to a song. And if they played, they used to play videos halfway into the night, and we used to sit there and watch every single video. That was our form of entertainment. Now, like I stated before, you take away the phone and it's like, oh, everything breaks loose, the whole world falls apart. I can't talk to anybody, I'm bored, I don't know what to do. Christmas Day, you went outside, you see people in bikes and skateboards and running around in whatever they got, wearing their new clothes sometimes, which parents would get upset or whatnot because they shouldn't be wearing that stuff outside, their new jacket, whatever it was. Now, nobody's outside because more than likely they got a gadget, a handheld gadget or a new game. There's no more emotion into these children, no more emotion, and they're starting to grow up and feel that way too because they feel like, oh, well, you know what, and this is going to sound cliche, kids do not come with the instruction manual. You know what I mean? Again, and this sounds cliche, we do the best we can. But looking back in retrospect, could I have done better? Yes, of course. But it's never going to be enough. Because there's going to be a flaw in anything and everything that we do. So where does it all end? You know? The bottom line here, to me, folks, is the way I see it is, when are they going to get it? When we're gone? And then realize, hey, you know, I had my face in my phone, or I had my face in the game, and my grandma, my dad, my mom, whoever was sitting right there, and I could have talked to him. I could have sat there and talked to him, but I didn't. I was too busy focused because I couldn't pause the game. I didn't want to pause the game. I didn't want to, I didn't want to lose. I was going to get to the next level of the game. But now my dad's not sitting here no more. My mom's not sitting here. My grandma, whatever. That's when it really starts to hit home. A lot of kids believe like, oh, and look, guys, I'm not trying to blame depression. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to go there with that, but there's a lot of kids that bring on this depression thing on their own. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but to a lot of them, what are you depressed about? What real problems do you have? Because they took your phone away? Because you forgot the password on something? Because, and mind you, I'm only speaking on the bare minimum of what I've seen in just a few. A lot of it's petty. A lot of it's feel sorry for me. A lot of it's, hey, you know what? I want to have my cake and eat it too. It's really that. I'm sorry. That's what it is. Again, guys, I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I know it does exist. I know it does. But a lot of it is a bunch of BS. Because kids want to have their cake and eat it too and want to get away with it. You know what I mean? And just, hey, you know what? I'm feeling weak because I can't do this and that. Hey, man, go outside. Take a walk. Go over to your friend's house. Talk to them for a while or whatever. But then again, that's even bad. Because guess what? Their friends, excuse me, are just stuck too. They're not outside playing. They're stuck on the gadgets. They're stuck on social media. And for every little thing that happens and goes wrong, because you didn't, the blame goes into the parent, into the grandparent, whoever's raising them, the blame goes there. Some of us, at least for myself sometimes, and I'll speak personally and openly about it, I don't know how much more to express rather than to just say, I love you. I don't express it with a gift. I don't believe in saying, hey, you know what, I got you this because I love you. No. Directly, listen, I love you. I don't need to buy you anything. I'm telling you, and I'm meaning it. I don't need to buy you, this or that because I love you, to tell you that, or that I appreciate you. I gotta buy her this, or I gotta buy him this because they need to know that I appreciate them. No, dude, you need to listen. You need to listen. It's not about what I'm giving you. I'm letting you know how much I love you. But oftentimes it falls on deaf ears because love to them comes in the form of something materialistic. it's like, again, it goes back to the social media. It goes back to the phone. If there's no picture, it didn't exist. If it's not online, it didn't exist. It didn't happen. There's many celebrities I've met throughout my life. I never took a picture with them. I could tell somebody something, but to them, it won't exist. It's just my word. You know? So with that, guys, I mean, I just think that a lot of the times, I wish I had the answer for that. Sometimes some of these, this next generation needs to kind of step back a little bit and realize what's happening before it's too late. You know, everybody feels entitled. Or you need to buy me this, and you need to do this, and why are we living like this, and we should be living like this, or I'm living great, whatever situation it is. It's never enough. Excuse me, guys. I don't apologize in advance for that because I keep coughing. I'm sorry. But it's never going to be enough. You buy them the latest phone. 6 months later, they want the next biggest phone. And you still haven't finished paying off the last one you got. But some of you parents also want to maintain an image to your kids, a financial image. See, me myself, I'm more old school about it. Hey, you know what? Check this out, man. I just bought you that. You got me messed up if you think I'm gonna go and get you the latest one because I just got you this one. You should have just waited. Sorry, guys, this is a vehicle. That's just the bottom line. As parents, too, we got to stand up, too, a little bit sometimes. As adults. To teach this next generation that, you know, just like anything, just like respect, it's earned. You're not entitled to anything. It's earned. You know, little things that may not seem as much, they're earned. With that being said, again, being a little more transparent, I'm building a vehicle, rebuilding my vehicle that I had before, but it's a father and son project now. Because I want him to earn it. It's going to be passed on to him. When I go, that thing's going to go to him. I want him to earn it. To know what went into it. How much time, how much money, how much sacrifice, whatever you want to call it. How much love, whatever. It has to be earned. And that's what we're missing today. Nobody believes in earning. Everybody feels hey, you owe me. You owe me and you need to give me. Because whatever, you know. And you didn't do enough. And you didn't. It's like, listen, man. You got to this age, you're alive and breathing. I must have did something right. You know. They don't understand that life isn't perfect. And the harder and harder they try to make it to where there's no problems, the worse it's going to be for them to accept real problems. Not petty ones that just in their head about, oh, well, you know, they're not letting me watch TV, and they took away my phone, and my life's going to fall apart. And no, those aren't real problems. You know? And again, guys, it's not knocking or picking on anybody who's really got depression issues, anxiety issues, so on and so forth. Every scenario is different. But with that being said, it's not an excuse. You know. But anyhow, that's pretty much where we're at. But I commend you, mothers, fathers, grandmothers, aunts, uncles, so on and so forth, who've taken maybe a relative or a child under your wing. You know, and hopefully they stay on the straight arrow and learn to appreciate what's given to them. You know, that they look and understand what's given to them. Not in a materialistic form, but rather an emotional form, which is tenfold so much more worth than anything materialistic. With that, guys, I hate to kind of end it dry a little bit, but that's where we're at. Again, thank you for tuning in to Two-Face Entertainment Podcast. This is Fred Segura signing out.